On the eve of my 21st birthday, I found myself at the Casino del Sol, a dazzling venue alive with excitement and possibility. The air buzzed with laughter and the clinking of glasses, and I felt the thrill of newfound freedom coursing through my veins. As I stepped through the entrance, I was engulfed in a swirl of lights and sounds, anticipation thrumming within me. That's when I saw him, Dazan Castamere. He stood out like a beacon, a vision of earthly perfection. His black hair was slightly wavy, perfectly styled, and his hazel eyes shimmered with an intensity that felt almost otherworldly. Those eyes held a magnetic power, ensnaring anyone who dared to gaze into them. I felt myself drawn in, caught in a web of desire and intrigue. "Is it just me, or is this place about to get a lot more interesting?" he purred, a sultry smile playing on his lips. "Definitely you," I replied, my breath hitching as I felt the heat radiating from his body. "You've got me feeling all sorts of things." He stepped closer, his intoxicating presence enveloping me. "Tell me, darling, are you ready to explore some pleasures that would make anyone blush?" His gaze held a daring challenge, and I felt my heart race. "Pleasures?" I teased, leaning in slightly, captivated by his charm. "What kind of trouble are you planning to get me into?" "Oh, the best kind," he said, his voice dripping with promise. "I know exactly how to make a night unforgettable. But first, tell me, what do you desire most tonight?" "Honestly," I whispered, my pulse quickening, "I want to feel alive." "Then let's awaken every sense," he said, his fingers brushing lightly along my arm, igniting sparks of electricity. "Come with me to a place where we can indulge in our deepest desires." Entranced, I followed him to a private lounge upstairs. The atmosphere shifted, thick with tension and unspoken promises. Dimly lit, the room felt intimate, yet charged with something primal. "You know," he murmured, drawing closer, "this place has a way of revealing hidden truths. What would you give for just a taste of ecstasy?" "Oh, I have a few desires," I replied, biting my lip. "And maybe, just maybe, I'll let you discover them, if you're lucky." He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "I intend to be very, very lucky tonight. But remember, every pleasure comes with a price." "What kind of price?" I asked, my voice laced with excitement and a hint of apprehension. "Perhaps just a little surrender," he said, his fingers trailing down my waist, igniting a fire within me. "Let go of your inhibitions. I promise to make it worth your while." As he spoke, I felt his hand slide around my hips, pulling me closer. The world around us faded, and all I could focus on were those mesmerizing eyes and the intoxicating scent that surrounded him. My breath quickened as he leaned in, his lips brushing against my neck, sending shivers through my body. "Just trust me," he whispered, his voice a seductive growl. "Let go of your inhibitions. Embrace the thrill, and I promise you won't regret it." His hands guided me gently, positioning me against the lounge bar, putting his hand up my dress, exposing my thighs. He began to pull down my panties, then bending me over the lounge bar. The cool surface beneath me mixed with the warmth of his body pressing against my back was intoxicating. I felt a rush of excitement and vulnerability, a thrilling combination that sent my heart racing. I slowly felt him enter me. I felt a sensation I never experienced in my young life. With every kiss, every touch, and every thrust, I felt like I was transcending to nirvana. But just as I was about to lose myself in the moment, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the bar mirror. My heart skipped a beat as I noticed the transformation that I had missed before. His legs were not human. Hooves glinted in the dim light, a shocking contrast to the alluring man I had thought I knew. "Desan," I gasped, panic flooding my senses. "What are you?" His expression shifted, a mix of surprise and something darker crossing his face. "Shh, darling," he hissed, attempting to cover my mouth with his long, sharp fingers. His teeth glinted menacingly, resembling those of a predator. "Let's not ruin the fun." "No! Get away from me!" I screamed, the sound piercing through the thick atmosphere. The primal fear took over, and I pushed away from him with all my strength. In that moment of chaos, he recoiled, his eyes wide with shock. "You shouldn't have looked," he spat, the seductive mask slipping away, revealing something far more terrifying. I bolted toward the exit, my heart racing, but as I glanced back, I saw him retreating, leaving behind a trail of burnt hoofprints scorched into the plush carpet. The stench of sulfur filled the air, a dark reminder of the nightmare I had stumbled into. He disappeared into the shadows of the casino, leaving me trembling and breathless. The laughter of patrons morphed into a cacophony of madness as I stumbled through the dimly lit corridors. I felt the weight of unseen eyes upon me, a creeping dread coiling around my heart. When I finally made it outside, I gasped for air, desperate to regain my composure. I hurried to tell my friends, but their faces were filled with skepticism. "You're just drunk." One of them laughed, dismissing my frantic words. "You probably imagined it." "No, you don't understand. He was—" I stammered, but they laughed again, brushing off my fear as a wild tale spun from youthful exuberance. As the night wore on, my attempts to recount the truth fell on deaf ears. The more I insisted, the more they rolled their eyes, convinced I was merely caught up in the thrill of my birthday. Alone in my disbelief, I realized that in a world where beauty often masked darkness, no one would ever believe the truth I had witnessed. I would carry the weight of that night forever, haunted by the memory of Desan Castamere, a master of seduction and darkness whose true nature had been revealed in the most terrifying way. The casino had become a prison of my own making, and as my friends continued to laugh, I knew that the nightmare I experienced would remain my secret, lost in the shadows.